Bonjour les Yonine, c'est la troisième semaine et ceci est notre deuxième leçon de la semaine. Écrivez la date et le titre, jeudi 11 mars ou vendredi 12 mars. Et le titre c'est « Pour les vacances, on réserve ?» Alors, le starter, on va réviser les chiffres en français. Vous voyez les chiffres à l'écran jusqu'à 40 et il y en a qui manquent. Quel est le premier? Celui-ci. Essayez de vous souvenir en français, comment on dit? C'est ça, c'est 1. OK? 1, 2. Write them down if you did not remember them, okay? And be careful with your spelling. And make sure you also take the time to practice pronunciation. So repeat after me. So 1, 2. Don't say dux, okay? Don't pronounce the X. 2, 3. Ensuite, what is it? What's number 4? That's right, it's 4. 4. 5. 6. And then what is it? That's right, it's 7. 7. Don't pronounce the P. Okay, 7. 8. 9. And then 10. Okay. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. The next one is easy because from 17 onwards, we just say 10 and the next number. So 18 is going to be 10 and 8. Yeah? 10 is this, 8 is 8, so 18 is 18. 18, then 19, and then what is it? What's 20? That's right, it's 20. 20. Okay, then 21, we've got the E here, 21, and then 22, 23. So logically, what is 24? 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then we move on to 30. 31, okay, careful, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, logically 39, and then 40. Okay? So copy these numbers if you did not remember them. Today we are talking about how to go on holidays, how to buy a train ticket, and it's very important to be able to understand the time when people tell you the time in French. And in order to understand the time, you need to know numbers. So make sure you study them, okay? About numbers, sometimes there are confusions between 6 and 16. Be careful. This is 6 and this is 16. Okay, 16. So be careful with this. Right, I'm moving on. Les objectifs aujourd'hui, comprendre le vocabulaire pour acheter des tickets, pour faire des projets de voyage. On va utiliser le vocabulaire et on va l'utiliser à l'écrit et on va évaluer nos progrès. Alors, on continue. Regarde les billets et trouve les expressions A à H. So copy the phrases A to H, the whole phrase, and find the French equivalent for it, looking at these train tickets. Okay? And there is an extension. You've got 2 minutes to do this. Off you go. Pause now. Ok, on corrige. Alors, voici les réponses. A return ticket is un aller-retour, literally a go and return. A single ticket, un aller. Departure, départ. Arrival, arrivée. These were cognates. Stamp your ticket is composter votre billet. Student rate, tarif étudiant. Full price, plein tarif. And ticket valid for 30 days, billet valable 30 jours. Okay, correct your work in red. And count how many points you got out of 8. And circle it. Okay, on continue. Now you need to go on Kabudo to do a listening practice. You're going to listen to this dialogue. Unfortunately, this dialogue is not in the right order. You need to put it back in order. Don't just write the letters. I want you to actually write the whole conversation, okay? You've got the first one done for you, si. So you know it's going to start with this sentence. So you can start writing, Bonjour monsieur, je voudrais un billet pour Marseille, s'il vous plaît. Okay, this will be the first phrase that you hear. You should do this by listening to it, but you can also use your logic and your knowledge of French to work out how the conversation will go and what should come first. Okay? So go to Kobudo, page 114, exercice 2, and write the dialogue in the right order. Extension, comment s'appelle la compagnie ferroviaire française? What's the name of the French railway system? It's national, it's not private, it's just one company. And if you've traveled through France, you may know this, or you could have a look at the image and maybe you'll find the answer. Okay, I'll let you do this. So off you go. You've got 4 minutes to do this listening. C'est parti. Pause now. Okay, on va corriger. Alors, the first phrase you heard was Bonjour monsieur, je voudrais un billet pour Marseille, s'il vous plaît. Then they said oui, un aller simple ou un aller-retour. It was phrase F. And then B, un aller-retour. Vous avez des réductions pour les étudiants? Then he said oui, bien sûr. Vous avez votre carte étudiant? So that was A. Followed by D. Oui, voilà. C'est combien? Followed by I. C'est 25 € avec la réduction étudiant. And then it was E. À quelle heure part le train? And then G. Il part à 10h42 du quai numéro 2 et il arrive à Marseille à 16h34. And then it was H. Parfait, merci monsieur. Au revoir. Okay, so correct your work. You can listen to me going through the answers again. The answer to the extension was SNCF. It's written there, SNCF. SNCF. That's the French railway company. Okay. Très bien. On continue. Now, in order to understand time when you go to France or when you speak to French people in general, so you need to be able to understand the 24-hour clock. This is often how French people tell the time. So as you can see on the grid here, you've got all the possible ways of saying the time in French. When it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, when it's precisely a certain hour, you can see we say il est always, and then the number of hours, and then the word heure. Then, when you need to add some minutes, when there are minutes after the hour, for example, 10 past 2, you would say il est 2h10. You say the number of hours and then followed by the minutes. Easy. Then for quarter past, have a look here. We add an extra word. For half past, we add an extra word. And then after half past, when you want to say 22 or quarter to, have a look at what happens. This is the way French people would say it. So analyze this grid, take the time to analyze how French people tell the time, and then answer the questions 1 to 6. Don't just write your answer, try to write it as a full sentence. For example, how do you say it is? Or just write it is equals, I'll give you the answer for the first one, it's il est, okay? Write down it is equals il est, not just il est, because otherwise you will not be able to remember what it meant because you don't have the questions in the book. Okay, so write down it is equals il est. So answer all these questions. I'm giving you 3 minutes. Okay, make sure you pause. Right, let's go through the answers. So, it is was il est. We always start with il est or c'est, C apostrophe est. Why do you think there is a S on heure in line A? That's because there's more than 1 hour. When you say more than 1 hour, you just add the S for plural. Number 3, which 2 words do you need to add to say end quarter? In French, you say end quarter, which means quarter past. Okay? So, écart is the equivalent of the English quarter past. Okay? But as you can see, we say things in a different order in French, because 2:15 in English would say it's quarter past 2. You would start with the minutes. In French, as you can see on this grid, we always start with the hours. Okay, and then we say the minutes. Number 4, which 2 words do you need to add to say and half? It was et demi, and half. Number 5, which 3 words do you need to add to say less a quarter? It was moins le quart, or minus the quarter, if you want to say quarter to. Okay, so instead of saying quarter to 3, as you say in English, we say literally it is 3 hours minus the quarter. That's how French people say it. Always start by saying the hour and then the minutes. And finally, line 6. In line F, why have I used 3 and not 2 here? It was because, of course, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes, but here we're saying it's 22:03. Okay, we're going towards the next hour, so you could not have 2 here. It had to be 3. Be careful with this. If you find this way of telling the time quite challenging, you can always say the number of hours and then the number of minutes. For example, for quarter to 3 here, you could say il est 2:45. You can say it that way, okay? And that's the easy way, that's fine. But be aware that if you go to France, maybe some people will say as quarter to, quarter past, etc. So I want you to be aware of how we tell the time in French. Okay. Très bien. Maintenant, using this, let's practice. Write down the time in French for all of these. To help you, I've put into brackets how many words you should be using. So if you go back to this, you can see, for example, for F, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. okay? Use this grid to help you fill this one, okay? Take your time. It's quite challenging to be able to tell the time in a foreign language, so don't rush it. If you don't have time to describe the time for all of them, try to at least do up to H, okay? I prefer that you do up to H and that you don't rush it, but try to get up to H and try to do the extension, okay? Make sure you use the previous slide to help you because it can be quite challenging. Okay, you can pause now. Alors, on va corriger. A was il est 5 heures. B, il est 5h10. C, il est 6h05. D, il est 7h15. I, il est 8h30. F, il est 9h. Sorry. You could say il est 9h40, but if we follow what we've learned today, you would say il est 10h moins 20. Okay? 10 minus 20 minutes. Yeah? So il est 10h moins 20. G, il est 11h moins le quart. 11 minus 15 minutes. Yeah? Il est 11h moins le quart. H, il est 1h30. I, il est 2h15. Sorry, for H, made a mistake again. Well, you can say il est 1h30, but here I wanted you to say il est 1h30. Sorry, il est 1h30 for H. For I, il est 2h15. For J, il est 11h20. K, il est 9h moins le quart. 9 minus 15 minutes, yeah. And then finally, il est 11h moins 20. Okay? Très bien. Then, how do you say midday? It's midi, M-I-D-I. And how do you say midnight? It's minuit, M-I-N-U-I-T. Très bien. On a atteint tous nos objectifs. Maintenant, test yourself, explain out loud how to tell the time in French and translate the 4 phrases. Pause now, off you go. Okay, so it's 11 a.m. Il est 11h. It's 8:15 a.m. Il est 8h15. It's 9:20 a.m. Il est 9h20. And the last one, it's 10:45 or quarter to 11. Il est 11h moins le quart. Okay? Make sure you go through this again because telling the time is quite challenging and only one lesson on this will not be enough for you to feel confident with it. The key thing is to go back to it regularly, okay? Make sure you revise your number and you go through this PowerPoint again, okay? If you've got any question, just ask your teacher. Très bien, au revoir.